हेलो गाइज, सबैलाई नमस्ते। आज हामी सबमेरिन ओसलट भ्रमण गर्नेछौँ। यो सबमेरिनको निर्माण यहीँनिर चाथाम डकयार्डमा नै सम्पन्न भएको थियो। कार्यकाल समाप्त भए पछाडि यो सबमेरिनलाई यहाँनिर प्रदर्शनको लागि राखिएको छ। आज हामी यही सबमेरिनको भ्रमण गर्नेछौँ।
Over there and like a special tour to go on it, and we didn't have enough time.
All the way over there.
Yeah.
That's the way that if you were over there, you'd now put the islands were able to use
यो लिस्टमा भएका सबै सबमेरिनहरू यही चाथाम डकयार्डमा निर्माण भएका थिए। यो मितिसहित यहाँनिर सबमेरिनहरूको नाम लेखेर राखिएको छ। ओसलट चाहिँ 1962 मा बनेको थियो। ओके, अब हामी चाहिँ ओसलट सबमेरिन ओसलटको भिजिट गर्दैछौँ। यो सबमेरिन चाहिँ चलाउँदाखेरि कहाँ पुर्याइयो र के कामको लागि प्रयोग गरियो भन्ने कुरा अझै पनि गोप्य नै राखिएको छ। अझै पनि क्लासिफाइड नै छ त्यो इन्फर्मेसनहरू, जानकारीहरू चाहिँ। विशेष गरेर कभर्ड अपरेसनहरू, स्पाइङ त्यस्तोको लागि चाहिँ प्रयोग भएको भन्ने सूचना छ, जानकारी छ।
So, HMS Ocelot is an O-class submarine. The O is short for Oberon. She's one of 6 O-class subs built here at this dockyard. Now, she wasn't the first, she wasn't the last, but she was the last warship to be built here that went to the British Navy before the dockyard closed. There were 3 more submarines, all identical to her, but afterwards she launched in 1962, but she didn't actually go into service until 64 because she was doing 2 years of sea trials, which is basically like an MOT, two-year-old MOT. From 64 to 91, she was in service. Doing what, doing where, I can't tell you because I don't know. Her records to this day are still classified top secret, where and what she got up to. We haven't been given a precise date, year, for when those records will be released. All we know is she was in Soviet bloc countries. So yeah, the way things are at the moment, they might put, oh, let's not release them just yet. Let things simmer down if they ever do. So yeah, until those days required, she's even to the dockyard and the staff who do the submarine tours, she's still a ship of mystery. The O-class submarine was designed for patrols and covert missions. Basically, she's a spy submarine. She was powered by 2 huge sets of batteries. At slow speed, even at periscope depth, she gave off very little to no noise, practically invisible. She's got 2 huge 16-valve supercharged diesel engines on board. They only acted as a battery charge, and maybe once a day, possibly around 3 hours maximum. Once a day they would turn on and they just recharge their batteries. Other than that, the engines, 2 big massive diesel engines, were never used. All from power. She's painted black because basically that's her leopard spots. Most of the time when submarines would surface in enemy waters, it would be at night, so that is her leopard spots. I've never seen a submarine painted in any other colour, to be honest with you. So where she was built, where all the submarines were built in this dockyard, is slip number 7. Right down the end there, you've got a big long building, looks like a greenhouse. 3 sort of layers of windows. That is where she was built. Turk's shipyard now, or Turk's boatyard, depending on which of the signs that you read. If you're in the car park, before you reach the barrier, just quickly stop, have a look on your left, and you'll see Turk's boatyard. Sometimes they have the doors open. You can just see how vast that building is, compared to even, say, slip number 3 and 4, where the lifeboats are. And that's basically as big as a dockyard can make, without a big influx of budget to make the slips bigger, to make bigger subs, bigger ships. But even back then there was price hatches and budgets. So that's the story of the Navy's lifetime, isn't it? Oh, it's been awful out there. So, on the front of the submarine, or on this board here, I shall demonstrate. It's up to you. You can stand there and get wet, and tell it to you. This device here, this is our dome. That's her sonar, so that's the submarine's eyes and ears. As you go onto the submarine, have a look underneath the submarine, you'll see 3 hatches. They're the 4 torpedo tubes. She's got 3 this side, 3 on the opposite side. She's got 2 square sort of planes about here, folded up. Depending on who you speak to, I've had them called dive planes and hydroplanes. She's got 2 this side and 2 in the aft end. On the surface, they would fold down flat and sort of swivel forwards and backwards, and they would help stabilise on the surface, but also control her angle when she's submerged. Running along both sides of the submarine are the ballast tanks. They're the big sort of bulging belly on both sides of the submarine. So for people who have not been on her before, that isn't crew space or cabin space. She is not that big on the inside. She weighs about just over 2,000 tons, but she's not heavy enough to submerge. So along the ballast tank, she's got some basically hatches. The hatches open up, she takes on seawater, and it's that seawater that gives her the actual weight to submerge. When she's submerged, she's now too heavy to surface. So they put high pressure air into them tanks that forces water at the bottom of the submarine, allows her to surface. In the middle of the submarine is this big sort of square device. That is called the fin, the same as a shark. On top of the fin, you have got 4 masts poking up. From right to left, you've got your attack periscope. Then you've got your search periscope, the radar, and then the big tall one is your communication mast. When you're in the control, I'll tell you a little bit about the difference between them. So, as we come down the sub, we do ask you, please come down the stairs as if it's a ladder. Keep your elbows tucked in, just keep your head bent forward until you reach the bottom. When you're down there, if anybody feels uncomfortable, claustrophobic, motion sickness, or you just do not like being down there in that confined space, and you want to go off, just let me know and get back to the submarine. There's 4 hatches you have to swing your body through. Have a look at the hatches, you know what your bodies can and can't do. If you've got any medical issues, you can look at that hatch and go, no, I'm going to hurt myself, or re-injure an old back injury, come off the sub. There's 4 to do, and the forefront is a bit more difficult. Pockets. If you've got anything in your back pockets, like mobile phones, wallets, car keys, anything valuable to put to you and you don't want to lose, we advise please zip them up. We've already had a phone lost on their board today. Don't mind you filming that when you're on board, but don't walk and film. I need you to keep an eye on where you are. There's plenty of trip hazards, okay?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we don't mind photos being taken, as long as the flashes are turned off. You'll just get a bad photo and dazzle everyone. Okay, we're ready to go on board.
We're coming in Ocelot. Reza also coming in Ocelot. Anna Reza? Look at that. Wow. So impressive, isn't it? Do you think that was built here? Guys, imagine. Yes, built there. What? awesome, isn't it? Built here. Just climb down. On other side, Dada, hey. I am trained person, so I can do whatever.
Okay. Well, then can you please just turn this way?
So this is the forward torpedo compartment. This is basically the area arsenal of the submarine. Mine has sort of, everyone's sort of standing to the side, so the middle bit is clear. So everyone can have a look at the same sort of thing. There you go. So in the front there, you've got your 6 torpedo tubes. In here, there will be 24 torpedoes stored. There will go 6 into the tube straight away. The other remaining torpedoes will go both sides of this compartment, stacked up next to each other, all the way down to the ground floor there. If you have a look between the top 4 tubes, you can see a tiny little green sort of beige chair. Tiny little circular seat. That is the original firing position. Some unlucky, skinny submariner to sort of step up into that chair, pull the lever, and that is what originally fired the torpedoes. Later on, during one of our refits, the fire system got moved to the control room. So, over here on your left is a Mark 8 torpedo. That weighs 1.5 tons on its own, and there'll be 24 of them on board. How do they get on board? They're going to come down here. This is what we've added for the top. Say the port or the dockyard crane would then crane the torpedoes over. There'll be like a sort of conveyor winch belt down here. They'd come down here, and the pulley systems and the winches inside the submarine would then take over. So you've got cradles for the top tubes, the middle, and the bottom tubes. The floor you're standing on is part of the Ocelot, but it wouldn't be down at all times. They'd only put this floor down if the crew needed to use the forward emergency escape hatch. The front there, you've got that silver dome with 3 red lines on it. That is the forward emergency escape hatch. One hatch is in, one hatch is out. If there was a problem with the submarine where she was, say, stuck, the crew would come here, seal the hatch, you climb into one of the red escape suits, you then plug an airline into here, it's called BIB's built-in breathing system, which would then flood this compartment. And we'd all take the turns going up through the hatch. Scary stuff. Right, hatches. Children can walk through these, but for the adults, the easiest way to go through is you've got a handle on the top here, 1 foot here on the circle, your second foot next to it on the circle, and both at the same time, just slowly pull yourself through. There's a bum on the other side if you need it.
Torpedo. Here's torpedo. Boom, torpedo. That's a food. Like spaceship.
Is everyone through? Okay, is everybody okay with hatches? Yeah? Okay, lovely. So this is the junior rates. 69 men on a crew, about 3 months at sea per patrol. But for 21 of them, this is where you would live. You sleep here, you eat here, you take your breaks here. If you're not here at your workstation, on this submarine, it's as simple or as grim, whatever way you want to look at it as that. There's nowhere else you can go. Usually 3 watches, 3 different shifts. So, yeah, so you eat here, relax here, and sleep here. Then you move on to your station.
Where's the storage, the clothing and things?
A locker, let me just see where's the nearest locker. This side of a locker. Who are they around here? There you go. Look under there. That is a locker for 1 person for 3 months.
Okay.
So there was no laundry, there was no change of clothing, because you can't put your change of clothing in there. So yeah, what you brought on with you wasn't much. Maybe a book, a pack of cards, board games, and that was it.
Okay.
There was no height restrictions. Last captain, I believe, was 6'5". I believe there was a taller submariner as well than that. Being a submariner, you can't afford to turn people away because of their size, because not everybody wanted to be a submariner. Fancy pool, they don't want to be in a metal tube underwater. So, yeah, submariners all mental strength rather than physical strength. As we go on this ladder here, you're going to walk past the bell. That is on this half of the submarine. That's how the crew will actually get off and on. We'll go for the past the petty officer's quarters, through the second hatch, past the snoring submariner. He's always snoring. You don't do any work. As you come into the control room, on your left you'll see a room with food on the table. That is the officer's room. That's their space. But opposite that, on the right hand side, there's an alcove, a corner, a nook. There's a bed and a wash basin folded down, and that's the captain's bed. And that's it. It's not a cabin, it's not a room, it's just a bed with a wash basin.
Television, beds, tables, blinds, nice comfy beds. Engine rooms are just up there, that's that noise you can hear. And either side of them in the ballast tanks, they've got their own separate tank for fuel. One more person. Okay, so this is the heart of the submarine, this is a control room. So, what have we got in here? The captain's bed. Now, the captain's bed is there, because if there's an emergency, this is where the emergency for him would take place. There's no point in him running to the sub and having to rush away. He wants to be here quick. So, that hatchway here, that takes you all the way through the thing. So, the first hatch takes you into the conning tower, and then another set of ladders will take you up on top of the
to the bridge. This is your attack periscope. This one you see in the movies. So when she's not in use, she would be stored down there. Search periscope. This one, easiest way to say combat periscope. This one here is non-combat periscope. If you would say in waters you should be in, and you brought this one up by mistake, you're in trouble. They'd spot that a mile off. The wake that would create in the water. Well, this one here, when you look at the attack periscope, it's like a pipe that goes into a very thin pipe. And it's that thin pipe that will just be above the waves. So if the waves crashing around it, that would actually hide it and get a very tiny wake. Even if you say on the Cavalier or the Gannet, you wouldn't spot that in the open ocean, not with the waves crashing around it. That one, totally different kettle of fish. The biggest difference between them though, is that's a one-eye telescope effect, this is a two-eye binocular effect. And this one as well, you can also adjust this one. So during the night, you can adjust it to look at the stars. So if they did lose their position, they can get their position from the stars. And you'd sit on this one, push the pedals, and it would actually rotate, a lot heavier. There was no satellite feeds, and there was no sat-navs on board, so it's plotting charts and map books. That's what I mean, if they ever lost their position. Lack of concentration, like, oh God, I thought you were concentrating. I thought, oh my, that's where we are. Okay, we'll switch to that. Over here, it's called the one-man control station. The helmsman sits there, and that's where he steers it. Just one person steering this up. Green compass. Basically, that is his wind screen. Where you are, you would tell him 20 degrees southwest. They did have a night system. So from dusk till dawn, they would go to red light system. So it gives the crew a night and day. As we go further on in this compartment here, on your left hand side is the wireless room or the communication room. All your messages often on the submarine would come through there coded, decoded. Opposite it, there are 3 toilets or heads. 2 for the crew, the third one with the hand basin already inside it is for the officers. As you come towards the next hatch, on your left hand side is a galley, that's where you get your food from, 3 meals a day. There's a little parchment on the table to say what they would have been fed on. So if you live down there, you'd come up here and you'd take your food, and you'd also take the food for the other people that are eating as well. So you have to basically carry on with that back then. Obviously, you know, people going back and forth, and that's just another way to catch him. Obviously, there is a small washroom with 4 tiny little hand basins where once a week you can wash your hands and face. No showers on board, no laundry on board. You had the same set of clothes for 3 months. 69 men. Very smelly.
Kita. Kitchen. Okay.
Still run, okay, yeah. Okay, so you went through the engine room. That was a recording of our engines. Probably about 15 times louder than that. Then we went through the next section where we took a step down. That's called the motor room. Basically, that's where all the power on the submarine was monitored. Now this here is called the stoker's end, which is a naval term still used today on the ships, and it's named after the engine guys and the old steamships that used to stoke the engines of coal. So if you're an engineer, you're a stoker. Another 21 beds in here. So all your engineers, your electricians, your maintenance crew, they all lived up this end here. Originally though, this was a little bit different. This was actually a rear torpedo bay. So she had just 6 at the front and she had 2 at the back. The remains of the tubes are still right at the back. There are 2 big white circular hatches at the back of the room. That is what remains of the rear tubes. That is my part done. Anyone got any questions?
How often would they surface to get fresh air?
Depends on the captain. I don't think there's actually a regulation for that, because even if they couldn't surface, there is a snort device, which is another mast on top of the fin, where they can raise that up and refuel their air. But that's down. I mean, not every time they went out to sea, they were always going into sort of danger waters. So they might have gone, right, we're off to Spain, we're off to Australia, so we don't need to be sort of stealthy.
And when they went up with the stuff, were they allowed to wander around on the top?
Yeah, apparently so, yeah. I've heard stories of barbecues up there. So yeah, I think there's some photos on the front TV as well. They've gone out there and they're swimming around in the sea. Again, it all depends what waters they're in. If the water's warm enough, then get overboard, go over and swim. It wasn't all sort of doom and gloom danger, you know. And that's the same with ships now. Just because you know, but when you're going into dangerous waters constantly, you might well just go over to Australia or to Japan or whatever, and just for a patrol.
And
But
how
it's
many chefs would you have?
I think they were probably between 4 to 6, because I think they'd have at least 2 men there. That kitchen would be operating for about 19 hours a day. Because again, even though I might be coming out for my dinner, but you might be finishing or you're having your breakfast because of the shifts. Any others?
Were you in the Navy?
No.
No.
As far as I know, I've got no naval in my family at all. Back to dog's home too, yeah, bit of a difference. Thanks for coming on board. My pleasure to show you around. Enjoy the rest of your day. It looks like it's stopped raining for now. Whoever disembark first. Thanks for coming on board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Mind your head as you go up.
Okay, that is our submarine tour for today. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Get a picture.
Bye bye, Ocelot.